Hey, everybody. We're back for another episode, and we are back with Dasha Maximov. And this is a very special podcast. Number one, you'll notice the structure of the podcast is different because Dasha is here for her own introduction, which I'm super excited about. So Dasha is, well, she's amazing. She's my co-host in the women's retreats that I've started doing this year, and she is a total rock star. If you want to know anything about women's brain health, how women's hormones affect the brain, resilience, and so much more. This girl, this woman, she's your queen here. She's the one. So welcome back to the show, Dasha. I'm so excited to be doing this episode with you again today.
Thank you. Good to be back.
So for you guys, for people listening to this going, well, why would I listen to another episode with Dasha Nat? Well, it's because we're back to talk to you about women's health. The focus of these retreats that we're doing, we're going to do a little bit of a recap about the last retreat that we did. We're going to talk about what's new in our upcoming November retreat. And we're just going to dig into some of the topics that we cover in these retreats. We're going to keep it a little bit shorter than a usual episode, we think, but we're not promising. There's a possibility we'll go long, but hopefully you'll get so much value out of this. So whether you're a woman who's thinking that, maybe it's time for me to really do something for myself, or you're a man and has a woman in his life that you think might benefit from this, you're going to get a lot of value out of this episode. So I do want to start with, who are these retreats for? So these retreats are for you if ultimately you're just interested in really digging into yourself and building longevity and vitality and resilience for your future. And it really, all it requires from you is to be curious and open-minded and really curious about this stuff. You do not need to be an advanced biohacker. And I'm saying this because a lot of people hop on calls with us and will say, well, I don't know anything about biohacking. I'm really nervous. And I got to tell you, some of the people that had the best time at this last retreat that we just did actually knew nothing about biohacking. And they just came in slightly deer in the headlights, right, Dash? Little deer in the headlights, and they all left completely lit up. So we will meet you wherever you are. And all we're going to do is we're going to offer you a beautiful buffet of all of the different options that are available to you. Do you want to add something to that, Dash?
Not really sure what else to add. I guess in terms of the retreats and why we wanted to do this, right? Maybe we can start with that.
Yeah.
The reason we felt this was the right time and why we wanted to do this was multifactorial. One, Nat and I often go to these conferences and we love the conferences. It's an amazing time to meet new people, learn new things, try out new products. And oftentimes it's 48 hours of a whirlwind of insanity that you walk back away from, and it's incredible, and you're buzzing and you don't know where to start.
Mm-hmm.
And so with these retreats, it's 5 days. Each one of these retreats is 5 days. With this one in November, we're offering an extra day that you can stay as well, if you'd like.
Yeah.
But with these 5 days, you get everything that you get in a conference, but it's tailored to you. So you're going to get to try all of the different biohacking tools and the tech. We've got new tech also that we're adding this time around, which we can talk about. And in additionally, what you aren't getting in a conference setting is you're not getting a review of your own health information. Whereas in here, with this retreat, we're going to be sending you genetics testing and age testing, biological and chronological age testing ahead of time. And then Nat's going to sit with you and really review it. And I think it was that personalization and the community aspect that people really, really loved last time.
Yeah. Well, and also the opportunity to really get a reset, to really re-examine yourself and to really get a break. You need to unplug. You need to remove yourself from your regular environment. You need to put yourself maybe a little bit outside of your comfort zone and do it with a community of people that are like, we're all kind of like when you're going whitewater rafting, right? We're all in the boat. We're all going to paddle. We're all in together. Anybody falls out, we're going in, we're getting you, but bringing you back in. We're not going whitewater rafting on this retreat, to be clear, but we're bringing nature into it. And contrary to the conferences that Dasha is talking about, and as great as they are, you end up under fluorescent lights, running your butt off for 2 or 3, sometimes, 3 days. What we're doing here is we're talking the talk and we're walking the walk. Like, you're going to be connecting to nature. We're putting you in homes where you can turn off the Wi-Fi at night. You're going to be right by the ocean. We're going to be grounding and earthing every single day. We're not only going to be sitting there learning about stuff, but we're going to be, as Dasha said, it's fully interactive. So you get to interact with the technology. You get to try the supplements. You get to eat amazing food. You get to move your body in ways that maybe you don't get to do. You get to get out in nature in ways that are really difficult for us to access in our day-to-day lives. And you get to fully and completely focus on you. This is all about you. So whether you're a busy professional or you're a busy mom, or you're a combination of the two, and your life is insane, this is about shutting down all that noise and really bringing the focus back to yourself. So enough about that. Let's get into some details, shall we?
Let's.
So let's maybe start with what did the experience is. Maybe we should start with, what was this experience like for these women who came and joined us last March? And for those of you listening to this, you can go, we'll share URLs to our websites at the end of the podcast, and you'll be able to go to the website and read some of the testimonials from women that they wrote to us after they left. And I think that that in and of itself was for us what said, normally we would have been scheduling another retreat for March, and we're like, we don't want to wait that long. We actually need to do another one this year, because this one came kind of on the tail end of COVID, if you will, as the world started to open up again. And you know what? We're all going to need to charge up and shore up our defenses for next winter. And so that's why we decided November. We need to get this in November before the holiday season hits, before whatever that runway is going to look like in the middle of the winter. We need to recharge our batteries to be able to face whatever the winter brings with a full battery.
Yeah. So I think your question was what was it like for the women who came? So we had 7 women last time around, and it was a mix of ages, of activity level, of biohacking knowledge, of where they came from. I think our age ranges from 35, 36 to 63. Yeah. So we had a pretty large age range, and therefore also from a women's health perspective, different phases of the cycle, right? So some were still cycling, some were in perimenopause, some were in menopause. And those were parts of the conversation that we had as well. What are some of these biohacks that you should or should not be doing, or how do you need to change them as a woman, depending on your life cycle? Mm-hmm. So we had all 7 of the women came and did the ice bath. Yeah. The ever scary and ever wonderful ice bath. So many women were saying, I'm not sure if I can do this. And lo and behold, every single one of them got into that ice bath the day that they arrived, which, I mean, pun intended, it was an icebreaker for sure. And oftentimes I find that, because I'm putting women into ice quite a bit now, and I find that it's quite different really than for men. I find that for men, it's the Wim Hof style. It's the, okay, I can do this. I can get through it. I'm going to be in here for 10 minutes, right? And that works.
Yeah. For them.
For some people. For some people. I find that for women, it is more the calm your nervous system down, mm-hmm. so that you can embrace the water and embrace the cold as a friend and not as a foe, as something that is going to be challenging, and I can get through this. Mm-hmm. And so, for example, there were some women who said, I have XYZ hormone or thyroid problems. And therefore, we modified it for them.
Mm-hmm.
We said, we're not going to put you into extremely cold water because you cannot handle that. You don't need that. And you don't need to stay in the water for 3, 5, 10 minutes. You can go into the water for 2 minutes.
Yeah, and get a lot of benefit. I mean, a lot of it I found was also just, I mean, what was magical about the ice was, first of all, the breath work that you took us through before anybody got into ice. And also it was about like it's like the wear and tear of the journey, right? The EMFs from the plane, some of our participants had traveled overnight. They'd spent a night in a crappy hotel and then gotten up at, I don't know what time in the morning to catch their next flight to finally get to the DR. And by the time everybody had done the breath work and everybody had gotten into the ice, and then a bunch of us jumped into the ocean, which at this point felt like a hot bath,
Yeah.
and then sat down for dinner, it was like we were no longer feeling ragged from the trip. It kind of like, you would think it zaps you, but in many ways it kind of recharges you in a very deep way. And so, and as Dasha said, pardon the pun completely intended, it was a full-on icebreaker. It was fantastic. So anyway, so that's your entry, if you will, into the Dominican Republic. And then I'm going to let Dasha go on and talk about, not in gory detail, but let's talk a little bit about what follows from a day-to-day basis, because a lot of the questions we get is, what are we doing? Like, are we just sitting there and sitting through lectures every day? Like, do I get to move my body? What's the food like? That kind of thing. So I think that these are all things, we're doing this podcast really to help people to really understand what the experience, and we can't tell you what your experience is going to be like, but we can explain to you what the journey is that we've organized for you to then experience through your own lens.
Yeah. That's well said. We can't tell you what your experience will be, but here's the container that we've made for you, I guess, or that we're creating. So with the 5 days, like I had mentioned, this one it's 5 days of programmed material, or 4 full days, of programmed material. And then the last day, if people want to stay on for longer, you can extend for an additional day. In that day, on the 14th of November, we will not have any additional programming, but you can be more on the beach, you can take time for yourself, you can have more body work done, you can really just kind of marinate in the amazingness that is DR. So for the first 5 days, like I said, we'll have ice bathing, so we're mixing it up and giving you opportunity to have workshops with Nat and myself. And the workshops are focused on 4 different ideas or themes: stress management, sleep, nutrition, and physical beauty. And so each one of those will talk about what are different things that you can be doing at different phases of your life. And we'll also, because Nat, you're such a wealth of knowledge with peptides, you'll be weaving in how you can use specific peptides to help support nutrition, stress management, sleep, right? Physical beauty. So if you're new to peptides, you'll get a brilliant crash course. If you're not new to it, you'll get more information than maybe you knew about peptides and how you can specifically use them for the things that you're trying to treat or change. And so the workshops, we know for a fact, both Nat and I are movement addicts. And so even after we finish this podcast, I know you and I are both going to get up and do squats or do something, because we know you can't even retain that much information if you're sitting for more than 45 minutes. Right. So the workshops are short, punched with information, and then we let you move on and go and potentially do all of these different body work treatments. So resistance stretching is one of them. We have Thai massage. We have another type of massage of body work that we both Nat and I experienced at a conference, and we're kind of gaga giddy about it because it's next level, but we can't really tell you about it because it's one of those things that you have to experience to really to know what it is, right? So It's a teaser. It's different. You most definitely have not tried it before.
And we were so excited about it that we've arranged to have that therapist come in to Cabarete to deliver this. So this is not someone who lives in Cabarete. This is someone who's coming in from the US to allow everybody to experience this incredible body work, which is really, I mean, I'd never experienced anything like it before. So I don't know.
Yeah, she's flying from LA, shutting down her clients from LA for the week to come down with us. Yeah, so I think it's nice because we're getting the workshops, you get the body work. We also are going to take a half day to experience the beauty and the nature of Dominican Republic. There's a waterfall that we go to that not too many people know about. So I rarely see any tourists or anybody there, frankly, unless it's on a weekend. And it's a pristine waterfall. So we'll walk there. It's a 45-minute walk there. We're going to spend an hour or two there and then a walk back.
And
so you're not
blue clay at the bottom on the ground, and that you get to do your own clay mask. Like it's so cool.
Yeah. If any of you have tried Alitura, you know that clay masks are amazing. Yeah. What you're saying is there's this clay that looks like rocks, but when you smash them together and you kind of rub them, then you can get that clay. You realize that it's actually clay, not a rock. You can put that on your face, let it dry, and you basically have your own Alitura face mask. Yeah. Natural.
And then you get to wash it off in the water that is pristine water. So it's pretty neat. And also the other thing to mention is, and then I want to get into some of these other topics that we really wanted to talk about, but the other thing to mention is that this retreat really starts a month before you come down. As Dasha mentioned earlier, you will receive your biological age test, your genetic test, and you will also receive a biostrap that we will coach you through learning how to use, so that by the time you come to the DR, we have data, and you have data specifically on you. And that's when we sit down and we help you to, first of all, understand that data. And then more importantly, what are the different things that you can do to start optimizing from wherever you are right now to wherever your goal is in the future, which we all know what our goal is, right? Our goal is to live as long as possible, as vitally as possible, and as happily and healthily as possible. We're not just interested in lifespan. We want lifespan as well as health span. So we want our cake, we want to eat it, we want to enjoy it, and we want to be able to do that for a really long time. So that's the goal.
Yeah, and I think with the biostrap, just to pause on that for a moment, of the last time when we had the retreat, 7 out of 7 women had some challenges with sleep.
Yeah.
Full stop. So if you are a person who thinks, oh yeah, I sleep just fine. Well, fine is not a really good word. It's a 4-letter word anyways, so we don't really like that word. But the biostrap can show you where you may be waking up in the middle of the night, right? You may be having movement, kind of your partner may be moving and you don't realize how that's affecting you. For myself, I know that when COVID first hit, I thought, I've got this stress management thing down. I'm fine. I work out. I feel pretty cool as a cucumber, right? And then I noticed that my sleep was very, very poor. Mm-hmm. My HRV was tanking. And that I only noticed because I had a wearable. Yeah. So once we actually have that data, then we can start saying, oh, all right, maybe I do need to support myself. Maybe I'm not quite as resilient as I think. And that, I think that's also the name of the retreat is longevity and resilience. Mm-hmm. Now, how are those two connected?
Intimately. Intimately. I mean, as Dasha likes to say, and this is such a key concept, without resilience, there is no longevity. And what does resilience mean? It means that you have the buffer around you, whether it's emotional, psychological, physical, to be able to weather whatever storms. And Lord knows there's plenty of storms these days. And so having that capacity to absorb the stresses and strains, to not be directly affected by them. I mean, we can't control what's happening in our, but we can control how we respond to it. And it's really about developing your toolkit. And it's not going to be the same for everybody. I mean, it's part of the reason why we have such an array of different tools that are going to be available for you at the retreat to try out and to sample, so that you can land on what's that. Is it for you? Is it a brain tap headset? Is it Newcom? Is it heart math? Is it just good old breath work, sitting by yourself? Like, it doesn't have to be technology. It just depends on the individual. So I think that the idea of resilience and how it can be woven through, again, every conversation. You need resilience in your digestive system. You need resilience emotionally. You need resilience physically. You need all of these different pieces that we will talk about, that ultimately is what will get you on that runway kicking ass until the day you're not.
Yeah. And I like what you just said in terms of there are so many different tools in the toolbox.
Mhm.
One of the things that you and I both do with our clients, and specifically for me, I work a lot with corporate who don't have a lot of time, are extremely stressed. I was in management consulting for 9 years, so I know that world well.
Yeah.
And the question always becomes, well, there's so many tools out there. What, I have to go and buy them all?
Yeah.
I have to go and do them all? No, you absolutely don't. And so if you're coming for the retreat, you'll get to try, not just for 10 minutes at a conference booth, right? You'll actually get to try it for 5 days and say, okay, this one really just doesn't work for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or these two are the ones that I really need to get when I get back home, because they can move the needle for me.
Mm-hmm.
So I like the idea here of, like I said, with our clients, we help to direct people to say, if these are the challenges that you're working with, try out this and this. Forget about these other ones, because right now, that's not going to move the needle for you.
Love it. Absolutely. And then one of the other things, let's talk a little bit about the food, because definitely, it's interesting in the world right now, like so many people have different approaches to food. So many people have different dietary requirements. And a lot of the people that we talked to actually for the last retreat, bringing them in, had concerns about food. Oh, I don't eat this, or I do eat that, or I need this, or I need that. Well, the beauty of our retreats is we have private chefs that are cooking all of our food. So number one, we know where everything's coming from. There's no crappy fats, crappy oils, the whole 9 yards. But number two is we're really, and these chefs are amazing. Like they actually became part of the retreat. They became part of the content because they were so integrated with our day to day, because they were physically there preparing and cooking for us. They were, they were lovely. But we're also able to customize for people who have specific requirements. So I think
a couple of the ladies during the retreat, they said, can we steal you and take you home to the chefs? and it's these guys they're wonderful. They're from Dominican Republic. They think of food as the gift that they're offering. They think of it as their dharma, right? And saying, okay, how can I find the best spinach or mango or whatever it is that they're creating for that day? And I know I've seen them before. Every time that they cook, they set an intention for the food and for the people who are going to be consuming it. And may this food go to the places where it needs to go. May it heal you. May it give you the nutrition and the sustenance that you need. And it's a different way of thinking about food. Oftentimes, I think that we, in this go Western world, we think of food as just the thing that I need to get through the day. And we lack the ritual that is around consuming something and bringing that energy into your body. And for these 5 days, you'll get to experience that. And you'll see how slowing down and eating that food with intention, slowing down how you chew, really taking a look and kind of breathing that food in, how that can actually fulfill you as well. Because we don't only eat just get it down inside you. We eat with how we start to smell the food first, how we touch it, how we see it. I mean, intaking food is all of the senses, and these guys embody it completely. So if you do have an allergy, last time we had somebody who was celiac, just let us know. Let us know, because we can very much tailor it based on what's going on, which is quite different actually from other retreats, because other places they'll just say, oh, we're doing all vegetarian and that's that, right? Whereas here we can tailor it. Nat and I, we have very, very different ways of eating.
Yeah.
And that's not a bad thing.
No,
It's an N of one. That is what biohacking is. So that's perfectly fine.
love it. Yep. What else, Dash? What else do we want to share with people? I think the connection to nature is a big piece of this retreat, and it bears repeating over and over again. Also, the type of accommodations we've again, as Dasha said, we've very intentionally not chosen to do this in a hotel where we wouldn't be able to have full control over the food and more control over the environment. We're located right on the beach, so that when the morning and when you open your eyes, you're hearing the waves. At night, when you close your eyes, you're hearing the waves. And in the morning, you're hopefully joining us for a sunrise beach walk, yoga on the beach. Nature is very, very much, and movement is very, very much woven through the fabric of this experience, so that you're getting a very full 5 days that is not just sitting around.
You are not going to be sitting around, don't you worry. I think the last bit that I would want to touch on is the idea of community.
Yeah.
We, for the past 2.5 years, have been pulled apart. We've been isolated. We've been forced to be by ourselves. We have lost friends probably because of different ways of thinking or different perspectives. And our health has also suffered.
Mm-hmm.
Those are all statements I can say across the board with clients I've seen, with friends I've seen, with myself, with you as well. You and I have chatted about this. And this is core to health. If you are isolated, if you're lonely, if you don't have friends who are in this health-minded mindset like you, it's going to be very difficult to be on a health journey, because you're fighting you're fighting an uphill battle, not only against yourself and that willpower of yes, I have to get into the ice bath, or yes, I'm going to do fasting, or whatever it is, but you're also fighting against your surroundings. Your surroundings are your friends, your family, your environment.
Mm-hmm.
And so community, to us, is critical to how you can progress on this health journey. That's why, Nat, you and I go to these conferences. That's why we're gaga over, I want to be in person. This past weekend, I just got back last night. I had 29 hours in New York City. And despite the fact that New York is extremely full of nasty electromagnetic fields and awful smog and horrible mold, I am buzzing from those 29 hours because I was surrounded by community. Mm-hmm. We had done a women's biohacking event there. And I also got a chance to hang out with Pam Gold, who runs Portal, which is a biohacking facility in New York. And it was just amazing, right? Getting to be around like-minded women who I don't have to say, oh, this is why, yes, I'm fasting. Mm-hmm. And I don't have to explain myself. Yeah. And when we go to when we are looking for a restaurant, we're both looking for similar things, right? We're looking for very high quality foods, no oil, no bad oils, like you said, high protein, right? All the things, but it's a given. It's part of the dialogue. And also it's part of the dialogue that I might have a bad day, and that doesn't mean I'm a bad person. Yeah. And I'm on this health journey. And this community for me has been extremely healing. The biohacking community has helped me heal from my brain injuries, from my hormone imbalances. And so when I'm around more community, I find myself uplifted. And I think that the women from the last retreat felt that in spades. There was a couple of the women who they said, you know what, we need to support each other. We both want to do ice bathing, and we're going to get on a Zoom call and do ice bathing together. Yeah. Right. How do you can't, that in and of itself was massive from the last retreat. Another participant needed some support, and she found that support that she was looking for miles away. So this retreat the community aspect doesn't just end when you get on that plane back home. We continue.
Mhm.
And for two times after you come back home, we're going to have check-in sessions with you as a group to say, all right, now you're back home. How are we integrating this back?
Mhm.
How are you've come back home, you have the drawer full of all the snacks. We all have that drawer,
Yeah.
right? Most of us do.
Yeah.
And
You have your resilience
how,
longevity kit that you went home with, stuffed full of stuff.
yep. Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just adding that in. So what are you using? What are you integrating? What are your challenges? And I think that was a really interesting conversation.
Yeah. And that's it, right? So you're gonna have challenges for sure. All that Nat and I, we both have challenges. We call each other up and we say, oh, this is a crappy day. I slept awful. Okay. So today you're gonna have a little bit more space for yourself. You're not gonna push yourself as much. That doesn't mean that you're 10 steps back. No, you're still. Today is a day that if you didn't sleep well, you're not going to push yourself further. And that is not a step back. That is just I'm pausing.
Yeah.
But giving yourself that permission and then having the community around you to say, yeah, that's okay. So I think the community aspect is something to really think about. And that's the main thing. I mean, we have a lot of other stuff in this retreat. But I think that we've touched a lot on most of it. We're going to be having more Instagram lives as well. So if you do have questions, you can ask us there. And the way to sign up for the retreat is we want this to be a good fit for you, both ways, for you, for us, and us for you. So for every woman who's looking to potentially come to DR, we'd like to have a chat with you, a 15-minute call with Nat or myself or both of us. And we get to ask you questions. You get to ask us questions and see if it's the right fit. If it is, then we all get to come down, and there's only 10 slots for this retreat. We're trying to keep it very, very small because we want to give you that attention that you deserve.
Love it. Love it. So the deadline to sign up for the retreat is September 6th. And we need that extra buffer time to get you the tests and to do all the prep work we need to do before the retreat. So whenever it is that you're listening to this, Dasha is going to share with us. I mean, you can go to my website, natniddam.com, and go to the retreats tab at the top of the page, and that'll take you straight to the retreat page on my website. And there's also a link to book that free call. And if you're listening to this and this even sounds like it might be a tiny bit interesting to you, then let's hop on a call and let's chat. And, I think it's about energy, and it's about, does our energy mesh? And if our energy meshes, then I think that you might just owe it to yourself to give yourself this gift of 5 days away.
And if there's any man who has listened through this, first off, kudos.
Yeah,
and second off,
I'm super impressed.
And if you are, think about this as a gift for your woman, be it a sister, a mother, a friend, a spouse, because health it ripples out.
Mm-hmm.
So if she's healthy, she's going to ripple that healthiness out. She's going to ripple that high energy, that vitality, that information that she's going to learn on this retreat. And maybe she'll give you part of the longevity and resilience goodie bag.
Maybe.
Who knows?
She'll share. You never know. All right. Okay. Well, thank you so much, Dasha. I think we're doing a pretty good job on time. And to anybody listening or watching this is also on YouTube. So if you need to get a visual to get an idea of whether you want to do this or not, some people have that, then we can't wait to meet you and talk to you. And this is really the first time we're pushing this out into the world. So we still have, we've had a couple of calls with people who are looking at their schedules and seeing if they can rearrange some stuff. So 10 spots. And if you have a friend and you want to come with a friend, you get to share your own little house on the beach together and also save a little bit of money. So thank you so much for listening, guys, and ladies and men, whoever's here. And we can't wait to hopefully meet you in the DR. Thank you so much, Dasha.